Okay, that should be streaming. It's on the wrong scene. On the wrong scene. Main monitor is go. Gonna start music. Check that the audio levels are right. They're not. Why are they not right? Come on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Music. Cool. Music set. Oh, Twitter. I should make at least half an effort to share this stuff. So the rough idea for the stream, anyway, is that my dad saw an interesting post on. Is it not gonna let me watch this one in real time? You in live control room. There we go. Live control room. Okay. The idea behind this one is there's some guy was interviewing for Ikea, and he was asked to model this part, which I will now drag up on screen. There's a screen. Just full screen it for now. Scroll down. So it's a pretty conventional towel hook holder. I don't like it very much because these two holes on the side, that just seems sort of not ideal. Like, you couldn't screw it into a stud. It doesn't give you maximum holding power for the screws, which I don't know. I have problems with it. Good design doesn't really matter. The guy was just asked to interview it, or asked to model it as an interview piece. So, oh, I can totally. If I was smart, I would post this. And boink. I think I have to uncrop things, or oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Transform, reset transform. Hey, that looks right, although it's way too big. So, transform, edit transform. Crop a whole bunch. This is really professional doing this in real time. The idea is basically model this thing really quickly. I think he was given 20 or 30 minutes. They told him not to take dimensions, and he did, which my dad remarked to me is like, "Come on, don't do that. Don't crop that. You don't need to take dimensions if you're told not to take dimensions. Like, no, you don't need to do that." So, obviously, I don't have the physical one. They do offer like a 3D view thing, so you can go through and take a peek at what the thing would supposedly look like in real life. So, is that? Yeah, that's the top right corner. There you have rough reference for what I'm doing. And I'm just going to try and have a stab at modeling this. So I've been streaming for about 3 minutes now, and I'll call that my start point. I'm just going to start with something really simple. It looks like, let's start on the front plane so everything ends up right. You can see that it's got kind of a peak up top. It's not purely a purely rectangular part, so I'll undo that one, and then I can mirror it twice, and then I have my part. We'll say that this is, I'm gonna ballpark it and say that's 80 millimeters. That seems fine. And add a width up here, say probably 45 millimeters-ish. Actually, that proportion looks wrong. I think it's wider. 50, even more. Wider. Yeah, wider. 60 looks about right. Take a wild guess for this. Say 10 degrees? That looks too steep. Let's go down to like 5. Yeah, that looks okay. And then we'll add a quick extrusion. Say 5 looks about right. Maybe a little more. Say 6. Oh, no, that looks okay. Actually, it looks too wide now. Let's bring that down here. That looks about right. So now we'll go over and say we have our reference plane. So I'll add the right plane, quick sketch. And we've got sort of a little tip thing up here, which I'll do with an arc. And then I can come and add sort of long section. This looks like sort of one big continuous hoop. Really, with a shorter, smaller arc at the end. I'm not going to bother with getting the ends of those exactly right, because they're kind of screwy and weird, and I don't know. I have no interest in attempting to replicate that stuff exactly. So now I'll add some constraints. Make that horizontal so that it looks about vertical at the end. In fact, that looks like about the same radius as that. Kind of the same little hook end on it. If I wanted to be clever, I'd model it once and then copy it over with the move copy bodies, but that's not really necessary. On the other hand, it'd be kind of fun, so maybe I'll do it at the end. But this looks like, well, let's do from here to here. Is it gonna let me do that? Nope. It wants to do all these things at once. So let's just make up a dimension for this. Say it's 25. Make up dimension for this. Say it's 10. Make up a trio of dimensions, or 3 points right here, and say 45. Pick that point, say horizontal, so that I know that that's horizontal. Pick that point and make that horizontal, so I know that that goes the full way around. Then I think I can shift click the two of these. I cannot. Okay. So I'm gonna add a construction line over here just to give myself a reference. Shift click on this guy, and then I want that to be about twice as far out. So let's say maybe a little more than that. Say 70, maybe 80. It does look like it protrudes quite a bit up, so I can use the peak of that. I can use that point and say 70 millimeters up. It's even more actually. It's more than the height of the item itself. So we'll guess and say 80. And then we can bring this down, place that roughly where I want it. I'm gonna add a reference here just so I can place this. And I'm gonna guess that's maybe 15 millimeters in diameter. So with this little construction circle here, I can tell myself, okay, how far does it look like that is? And I'm gonna just shot in the dark, say 5 millimeters, since we're not supposed to be doing exact dimensions, which is fine by me. And then I have to add an extra line down here because I care about where that is, but I can't shift click off it because I'm not using a line as the reference, I'm just using the origin. So I'll click that guy and that guy and say I want that, or no, rather than referencing the origin, what I'll do is I'll reference the bottom point down here and say that I want it maybe 10 millimeters below. And we switch to 7, and then we have, crucially, what I'm about to do here, I have only one continuous single line profile. I can go to Features and Swept, Circular Profile. And I didn't grab that dimension name beforehand, so I'll cancel out of this. If I take this dimension name, what is it? Are we still in the sketch? Yeah. Why is it not giving me... Let me use the sketch, please. Okay, it seems to have gotten across. Oh, I wasn't actually in the sketch. So this value name is D6 Sketch 2. I'll quickly Control-C copy that, exit out of the sketch, select it again. You don't have to exit out of it, actually. It intrinsically selects it if you're in it in the context, but you can do Sweep, Circular Profile, and then do an equals equation in there to make that the same as any other dimension that you're using for context in there. Great fun for quickly developing little hook shapes. And actually it looks a little big, so I'm going to go back into my sketch here and say 10? Yeah, that looks about right. We'll call that good. Although maybe this wants to be a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think this distance was smaller, maybe 70. And I think this was larger, maybe 30. And it was further up too. Actually, I'm going to reverse this dimension because it looks like that's sort of centered on the... Or, you know what, let's just hop into the drawing and get rid of this guy. And by trimming through that with the trim tool, it automatically deletes it. So I'm just going to pick that point, say horizontal, say that's good enough. So that looks like an okay spot. I'm just going to quickly do a whole wizard so I can pop my countersinks in just as references. Go countersink, flathead screw, say like M6 or M8. Just get a rough idea what that looks like. Select 2 points, draw a line between them, make it construction just because I like to do construction, and then with the line selected and the origin selected, I can hit midpoint and then it's automatically on the center point. So we'll 35 because that looks about right. And okay. That's actually a little big, so we'll say M6 maybe. I mean, in the real world, these would not be machine screws, they do wood screws. So, oh, you know what? Maybe I can pick from socket countersunk. Nah, okay. We'll just do M6s. That's fine. Oh no, I forgot. It's under. I'm not gonna worry about it. Not worth worrying about. that looks about right. So now what I'm going to do is something much screwier, because I can't really think of a better way to connect these two. If we look at the... Let me just blow this guy up here at the center. I can't think about how... I can't actually show my mouse in the way, that's kind of annoying. But I can't really think about how to do that sort of funky connecty bit. That seems like it's going to be screwy, so... Shrink this back down. I think what I want to do, and this... Bear with me, because it's going to look super effed up. Let's do from the front plane a sketch, and then a center point slot. Say, draw this line. I want you to be a millimeter inboard, and then give it an overall length of somebody texting me. Another inboard. 40. That looks about right. Yeah, it's about half the total height, and we'll do a. It's been a little while since I've used the surfacing tools, but sketch, and now my window's all jacked up. Come on, unjack yourself. There we go, much better. Let's pop out of the sketch for now, and then I think it's like projected. I think. Oh man, I don't remember how to do it. Just search for project. Split line. There we go. So I take this sketch onto these two surfaces, and it's projection, single direction, reverse direction, and it made a whole bunch of extra pieces. So we're gonna quickly delete those. Delete fill, show preview, looks all fine. Yep. And then these two are connected, which looks fine. And then I'm gonna do something really screwy, which is making the... Ooh, I should hide this tab to do that, at least in my config. I'm gonna do this in a really screwy way. I'm gonna add sort of this stuff and make that... I'll do this with 2 construction lines so that I know everything ends up matched. Then take a wild guess that that's maybe 5 millimeters radius, and that it's probably... Shift clicking on an arc and then clicking on a center line lets you dimension it as though it's a... because usually the center lines are used for rotationally symmetric parts is the word I was looking for. And so I'm going to make that 15, because it has to be a little bit wider. And I want it probably 40 mils tall. About right? Maybe 45? Let's do 50. Just because we're not really super sharp about dimensions here. Same thing, shift click on there. On the other side of the line it's diameter, on this side it's radius, so it's probably a little narrower, so let's go maybe 40. And then, you know what I could do, is I could make this a lot easier for myself if I was using construction lines and doing it in quarters and then mirroring it. But that seems like less fun, so we're gonna do this the hard way. Oops. No, stay over there, please. Select all this, and then mirror. Select all this, unselect that guy, and mirror. And now we have our shape. Exit sketch, shift tab a couple of times in the right place until it pops back up. And now, I'm gonna do a couple of things. So first thing I'm gonna do is a sketch on the right plane from this point over here, and then I'm gonna say, here's that guy. And then I'll have a couple of different, I'll get a couple of different guidelines that I can use that hopefully make this go a little bit smoother. It probably won't. It'll probably be a nightmare, but you know, why not try? And then one more on the top plane. Normally you'd have to create extra planes to line all this stuff up, but because I made all of my loft sections on the center, I can use those as my planes. Otherwise, I would just create them from, say, a point here and this, or yeah, a point there on that line and that point there on that line. But I don't have to do that, so I won't. And come back up to the top plane. Pull 2 lines off here. Quickly trim that one out. Pick that point, say pierce please. And pierce. Here's a sketch. So now, I have a whole bunch of guidelines that should let me loft this whole profile. Should just get to click it once. And then, I think I need this selection tool here. Selection manager, there we go. There we go. Hey, that's nice. Face loop or tangent loop. That's really convenient. So now I get an extra loop. I don't know why it says it's open. It shouldn't be. Should be a closed loop, but we're just gonna hope for the best. Add some guide curves here. It's probably gonna explode. I can't think of a way that this wouldn't explode because this is gonna be a really complicated thing for Solidworks to decide how it wants to do it. I don't think I have show preview on. Linear 3D faces. A 3D section that does not bound a face or surface cannot be used as an end section. Okay, so what if instead I delete that and I say, oh, don't delete these two faces. Okay, hang on. Let's exit out of this, and up after this delete face, let's do a separate delete face. Delete and fill, delete patch? No, yeah, okay, delete and fill. Replaces it with a single face of unknown provenance, and possibly it's gonna break my other sketches. Yep, broke my other sketches. Only one of them though, it's not bad. Select everything, rebuild? Why is it complaining? Why are you complaining? Ah, there we go. Yeah, okay. Unsurprisingly, it's moaning about that point being different, which is okay. We'll just tell it to Pierce. We'll do the same thing down here. Delete that one, select the line, whoops. Select that one, go Pierce, make a sketch. And now, we try an exceedingly silly loft. So we'll go that profile, that face, and then guide curves, say okay, guide curves okay, guide curves okay, and guide curves texts. Looks okay. See what happens. Failed to reorder the guide curves. Guide curves global? Failed to reorder the guide curves. They're not guide curves, they're just to next sharp, maybe? No, to next edge. Okay, what if I just get rid of them? And what if I... Oh. You know what, screw it. Let's just see what it does. All kinds of messed up. Okay. Can I add some guide curves and maybe it'll still play nice? Hey, that almost looks half bad, or not half bad. In fact, in that context, it actually looks pretty close to right. So, I think the one complaint I could have is that that needs to be a little closer to, that broke that. That broke that real bad. That also means that this sketch is unused, but that's fine. Just delete that. I kind of want to run the symmetry checker to see if it came out symmetric. It doesn't look like it did, but... Single plane, right plane, check. Asymmetric faces is this one. Okay, but that's also one continual face, so that's fine. I can put up with that. And I'm just going to click that once, because then it'll fill it. Ooh, uh-oh. It's going to complain about that. The reason it didn't generate a preview right then was because it's trying to do 10mm fillets on a whole bunch of places where you can't really fit 10mm fillets. So I'll just bump this up a couple of sizes until it looks right, or until it crashes, which I guess is a 3. Yeah, that's not bad. How long have I been doing this? So, we are 19 minutes into the recording, so... what does it say? 3 minutes at the start? So, technically I've only used 16 of the 20 to 30 minutes I was allotted by the post, so... Oh, I totally forgot to put that. Can I manage the broadcast from... Well, looks like I can't, so maybe I can... Ooh, yes, here we go. Edit. And... I just threw the link in the description. It won't refresh for a little bit, but... Now what I'm going to do is... I think it would be fun to go back, edit this sketch... Whoops. this sketch and say, let's make these two construction. Oop, delete face broke. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Doesn't like being changed around. So I'm going to show this sketch so I can use it, and I'm going to add, let's do a plane right there. I can pick that, and it always picks whatever's tangent to it if you've got a line, or rather perpendicular to it. And it looks kind of squarish or maybe ovally. So I'm going to do... Am I already going to sketch in that plane? I am not. We'll do a quick ellipse. Looks okay-ish. I'm just going to wing these numbers. Like I said, it's not a dimensionally accurate thing. It's a how quickly can you roughly make this shape thing. And frankly, Solidworks is not really the tool of choice for this, because it's not great industrial design software, in my opinion. Exit sketch, quick loft the boss base from here to there. Whether or not those come out symmetric, who knows? Probably not. It'll probably come out slightly jacked up. But start normal profile and normal profile. Can I get a preview? It says it's doing one, but it's not. Okay, and it merged it, but I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do some really screwy stuff here. Turn off merge result so that we're not merging it. And then use the dome feature right here. Elliptical dome. The magic about the elliptical dome is it makes it so that the edges are always rounded. Otherwise, you end up with something that's always looks a little bit weird. Like, those edges are not tangent. If we made this like 20, it's bulbous, but if you do elliptical dome, then it's always normal at the profile. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say maybe 5 millimeters there. So now I should have this little body and the rest of it. And I can go move copy bodies. Copy... Oh, I can only move it right. Okay, so first I have to copy it. Let's do just one and do up Y like 20 mils. Then we'll do move copy again. And this is, don't do this. This is a terrible way to duplicate features, but if you just want to like move something that you know works somewhere else, it's kind of okay for mocking things up. Now we'll use constraints and say, take that face and that face, coincident, add concentric, that and that, add, and because I don't have any, oh, you know what, maybe I can pick that line? Not really. Whatever. So one of the things that this does is it means you can't really tightly control orientation because you don't get planes on any of your parts, so, or on any of the bodies that you move. It's just a limitation of working in multi-body space rather than assembly space. But we can hide that now. Go combine, add, shoot, click and drag, select all, and blink. Oop, and there's still that plane showing up there. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, it's not bad. I think I maybe want to change how I'm doing this fillet because it doesn't look quite right. Rather than doing it on a face basis, let's see how big I can make this guy down here. Oop, I don't like when it does that, so it's worth noting that if you do preserve edge instead of preserve face, you get these weird little artifacts and fillets and it generates extra faces. My preference is usually keep surface, and then it makes that consistent, and it makes this face consistent, and it just eats in a little bit, which is fine. But that looks not that bad. So we'll do another fillet on that. And hey, it even wants to do 5 on that one this time. So does that look right? Does it generate? Yeah, it does. Hey, wouldn't you know it? It'll take 5mm fillets. It just won't take 3. So yeah, that is how I would attempt to make that shape. It's not perfect. I think if I had to tweak a little bit, I think there's an argument to be made. You can come back to this loft and say, oh, come on, show me a preview, please. the end constraint, you could up the the start constraint, because I did it from the sketch first. Like, you could up the strength of that a lot to make that guy a little blobbier and a little knobbier, and then it does it up there too, because it's just a copied body. I think 3 is probably too strong, but 1.5. See how that looks? Yeah. Maybe a little smoother. I don't know. At this point, I'm arguing over very silly little design parameters and not ones that I think anyone would actually use. So, to my one viewer, thank you for coming along and joining in the silliness of watching me attempt this part kind of from nothing. You know what? Just seeing this now, and I'm gonna get obsessed with tweaking it towards better part accuracy. That looks a little better, but it also broke one of my other fillets, so move it back a hair, see how it does. Yeah, it's never gonna be perfect, so I'll leave it at 5 or 4, whatever it was. Yeah, looks fine to me. I don't think anyone would really complain if I did this in an interview. I'd look at that and go, yep, that looks pretty much like the part, and it only took me about 23 minutes, so yeah, you could probably brass cast that without too many issues. Yeah, thank you for watching. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments. Like and subscribe. I don't know. If you have friends who are trying to learn SolidWorks, recommend my channel to them. Ask them what they think I should do, and send problems to me. I'm always happy to, well, I say always, I only do this about once a month, but if you send me a problem that you'd like explained or examined, I am more than happy to just do a quick run through and say this is roughly how I do it. So I'll probably post this as a reply comment in the thread, and hopefully the guy sees it, and hopefully he understands better what he did wrong. Like, Mr. Ayushgarg, if you don't get that job, oh well. Hopefully you learned something from watching this. That's kind of all I want out of this. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a nice morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And I gotta find the stop streaming button.